things that bend unnaturally are so, they give me like chills.
Yeah, it's blah.
That's why I hate spiders so much, I think. I mean, crabs.
Yeah, well, I mean, sure.
They just look alike. I'm just like, no. Welcome to Scary Mystery Surprise,
where we talk about scary things that surprised us around the internet.
I'm Edwin.
I'm Michelle. We're going on an adventure with the Bengal ghosts, or Bhoots.
Boots?
Bhoots.
Oh, okay.
There are many different types of ghost stories in Bengal. And by the way, Bengal is a region in between India and Bangladesh. It's like a culture right in there. And it all used to be one, but then it got divided when they divided India as a country. Mm-hmm. So it's West Bengal in India and Bangladesh, that like zone in the east of India.
Okay.
So, and this is one of those things, well, this is like just a sidebar. This was so hard to research. My computer got a virus.
I didn't know Macs could get viruses. I thought that was...
yeah, I didn't think so either. That's why I was pretty shocked by it. But because I was just clicking on Bengali ghost stories, I got something sketchy on my computer. So anyway, I'd like to delete it off my computer. I don't know how. Scary Mystery Surprise listeners, if you know how to fix my computer, please let me know. But honestly, Bhoots, or AKA the ghosts of Bengal in Bengali literature and folklore, are really cool. And I wish there was more info out in English that we could find. This is all basically based on one article that kind of gave a brief overview of some of the ghosts. And so, like, you know, I'll just mention some of these really cool ghosts that are part of Indian Bengali culture. So
cool.
That's
finally.
What we'll be doing.
Woo. It's a much requested topic.
As opposed to ghosts in other countries who prefer haunting domestic spaces, Bengali spirits often prefer marshes, ponds, forests in the region, and some even take human form. That's also because they practice cremation a lot, so they don't have like a spot to put. It's not like a graveyard. The body's gone at that point, so they would just be out wandering around. And also, here's the thing. You can't always tell if they're a ghost or not, but you can tell if you light turmeric root and hold it under their nose. Apparently, they can't stand the smell. So
yeah, it's hard though, turmeric.
I can't imagine. I don't know if I'd be able to handle the smell, but I'm not a ghost, so I don't know. They also have large appetites for fish, which are popular food in the Bengal region, and many are mischievous, while others are more vindictive. Here are a few ghostly tales that have gained popularity over time. Ugh. So, okay, our first ghost, or Bhoot, it's called a Petni. Edwin, you're on a walk. And by the side of the road is some tall grass. And in that tall grass is an attractive woman. Let's say Shakira. And she's like, yoo-hoo! And
like
you're
Michael
like,
Jackson.
no, that's hee. Oh no, she's like, yoo-hoo. And you look around and you're like, who, me? And she's like, yoo-hoo. And so you take a step towards her. But just then, you glimpse through the tall grass that she's been standing in. Something's odd. You look down at her feet. Both of her feet are pointing backwards. A Petni, you scream, and you run screaming down the road.
That's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, yeah. And she's like, "Wah, wah, wah."
Just fading into
Yeah,
the
just
distance. So she wouldn't chase you or anything. She would just kind of like trying to
she might
scare
chase
you.
you.
And,
She is well. She is malevolent. So, like, odds are, if you'd been like, "Oh, okay," and gone in the bushes with her, she would have killed you. So she's evil. But the only way you know what she is because her feet are turned backwards.
Jeez. Are her knees also turned backwards?
That's what I can't figure out.
God, that's disgusting. Okay. Oh.
Honestly, just like the sensation in my body of imagining my feet being turned backwards is like, it's a little much for me. So, little is known about Petnies except that they are ghosts of unmarried women who died with unfinished business. They are similar in appearance to women who are still alive, although their feet are pointed backwards. And they tend to make their homes in sandpaper fig trees. A lot of ghosts live in trees in India, so just go with it. According to folklore, these ghosts often try to accost men in order to satisfy their own desires. They are known to be violent and dangerous when crossed. And while they used to inspire terror, more recently people have been sympathetic to the view of the Petni, believing her to be an embodiment of the female desire that disrupts patriarchal norms, basically giving women agency that they lacked in life. The next one is also a lady ghost, and I will be... This one I could not find how to pronounce, so this is like me winging it. Sankachernis are ghosts of married women and widows. Their name comes from the clothes they wear, are as white as conch shells, and they also wear bracelets of conch shells. Apparently, culturally, that's like when you get married, you wear these bracelets. Sankachernis are less violent than the Petni, but are quick to take offense. They like to possess married women so they can relive their own married days once again. In one popular folktale, a woman accidentally brushed against a Sankachernis, and this made her so angry the ghost imprisoned the woman in a tree, and she then takes on the woman's form and enters the house where her husband and mother-in-law are impressed with her increased efficiency. However, the differences quickly become apparent. The Sankacherni extends her arms several meters to reach for food, and instead of using fuel to cook, she thrusts her foot in the fire. Eventually, the burning turmeric root test reveals her true form, and she's forced to confess, and she frees the imprisoned woman. So,
what? Okay, that is creepy. Wait, her efficiency, like in the house?
She got much better at what she was doing. Like, they're like, oh, why are you so good at being a housewife now?
I'm impressed.
I'm impressed. And then she reaches her arms super far.
She's like, hey, look at this.
Yeah, and then she puts her own foot in the fire to start it and cook dinner instead of getting wood.
That's very cool. I mean, it sounds like a superhero. Like,
it does.
If only she were to use that for good instead of just for being a housewife.
Yeah, it seems like that was fine. I mean, I feel bad for the woman, obviously, who's imprisoned in a tree, but
yeah,
you know. Okay, our next ghost. Once again, couldn't find how to say this on the internet, so I'm gonna just wing it. And so, Edwin, you've had a successful day fishing. You're walking home.
Yeah,
you're walking home. You're alone. Then you hear a nasally toned voice. Masha Dijan. Which roughly translates, give me fish!
Oh!
This startles you, and one of your fish disappears. So you run down the road screaming.
Such a funny scene, though. Like, what? It's just...
Micho Bhoot are male ghosts, mostly fishermen, of those who died by drowning and are renowned for their love of fish. They are known to haunt lakes and ponds to feed their hunger. Unlike some other Bengali ghosts, Micho Bhoots are not malevolent However, they will beg fishermen or lone travelers for fish, saying in a nasally tone, Mashkija, give me fish. So, our next ghost, Skundakata. Edwin, you're waiting for the train. In the distance, you see a figure coming toward you. Of course, you are alone at this train station. It's outside the village, near the bog. The fog has settled in, of course. Of
so
course.
Peaceful.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Nothing ever happens. This figure starts coming closer and closer. And then all of a sudden, it's very clear to you, it does not have a head. So you run screaming down the road.
Hope I got good tennis shoes on.
I hope so too, honestly. With all the running you have to do in this episode.
Well, I've managed to escape all these times, so I'm not worried anymore.
The Skundakata are headless ghosts whose origin stories have changed over time. In the 19th century, they were described as being vengeful and dangerous and willing to attack and enslave humans to help them find their lost heads. I don't know why that's funny to me, but it is. They generally dwelled in low, moist lands outside a village in bogs or fens and go about in the dark rolling on the ground.
What?
With their arms stretched out.
Wait.
So somersaulting, like without a head? Is that you're just rolling?
I mean, if your arms are stretched out.
Is it this way or this way? Hamburger or hot dog?
What if you're cartwheeling?
What if you are cartwheeling? But that's so much more menacing than what I thought.
Wow. Still creepy, though.
It's still very creepy. However, in more contemporary descriptions, the Skundakata is described as ghosts of people beheaded on the train tracks. They haunt the railway stations, but can be easily outwitted because of their lack of sight.
Not brain, but sight.
No, it's because they don't have eyes, because they don't have a head.
So they're just bumping into things.
Yeah, I mean, it'd just be like some sort of weird headless thing and then you just step out of the way.
Oh man, we need listeners' help more than ever here. If you have any material.
I want people in Bengal to write in and tell us these stories, because these are so cool, and we're just getting a whiff of these stories. They're so cool, and this is clearly not the in-depth expose that we'd love to be doing.
Any info, please, guys, send it in. Instagram or via email.
Yeah, please. We want to hear everything. We want to hear all these stories. Okay, finally, probably the scariest ghost that I found is the Nishidak. So, Edwin, imagine, you're pretty much walking at night. Imagine a calling to you from the darkness. Edwin, Edwin, the voice of someone you loved who died recently. You're terrified, but you can't ignore the hypnotic promise of seeing them again. You venture to the source. A fatal mistake. You can't run screaming down the road.
I died.
Dun dun dun. You died. The Nishidak are...
You didn't even let me process my own death, Michelle. I just...
No, we gotta move on. You've been killed by a Nishidak. The Nishidak are ghosts of people who weren't given a proper burial and appear as shadows in the distance. The word Nishi means night, and the word dak means call. So the Nishidak will choose a victim, call out to them in a voice of their loved one, and they will use these calls to lure their victim into a secluded area, revealing themselves and killing their victim. However, it's possible to distinguish between the call of a Nishidak and the voice of a loved one. A Nishidak can only call out twice. So if you hear your name announced 3 times, you know you aren't being haunted by a ghost. In one story translated by Dr. Sutra Samantra, and one of the videos that I found was by PBS, and they'd done like this short little video in the Nishi-doc. But anyway, the story's from that. A Nishi directs its attention to a little boy. The boy shared a close bond with his aunt, who helped raise him. He would lovingly catch his aunt's favorite fish to eat. When she died suddenly, the boy was too devastated by grief to perform his aunt's last rites. He would not eat or speak, becoming ill himself. Exorcists were brought in, amulets, charms applied, but nothing worked. One night, the boy woke suddenly, claiming that he heard his aunt's voice calling to him. Soon, rumors began to spread of a figure sitting in a tree by a nearby pond. Then, after a heavy monsoon rain, a midnight fog encased the village. The boy hears his aunt calling to him, begging him to come catch her a fish. So he sneaks out of the house and begins to collect the fish. But then he spots a figure in the trees. Fear brings the boy back to his senses, and with much effort, he's able to run. But he doesn't get far before a long arm snatches his basket of fish, and the boy falls into a dead faint. 3 days pass before he regains consciousness. Everyone warns his mother to keep a close eye on the boy. For next time, he might have his neck broken by the Nishi. But the monster is relentless and lures the boy into the pond. He walks straight in, sinking below the surface. His body is dragged up in the fisherman's nets the next morning.
That's a really good story.
It's good. I mean, and that's like one that was officially translated for this PBS documentary. So like, we want to hear these stories, man.
Friends from over there, from that side of the world, please, please, please help us out.
Yeah. And I mean, I did this because we've gotten requests to do this before, but I want more. I want more info. I want more stories. This is just like, this is like the ice cube of the iceberg. This isn't even the tip of the iceberg. It's like an ice cube that was sheared off an iceberg and is in a glass. So please write in.
That's why, though, Michelle. That's why when people request it so much, because it's not there. We don't have access to that information. Like,
this is like an open call to the listeners out there, because we want to hear more stories like this.
And I know that there is a lot of people who are bilingual or trilingual,
yes.
and they have to have access somehow. It doesn't have to be professional, but definitely we need the gist of the stories. If we can translate, or lead us to wherever the sources of these are. If there's books, for example, on this type of thing, might be interesting to like flip through them and figure it out.
It's a fascinating area of folklore that, is pretty inaccessible, which I understand. Maybe sometimes everyone shouldn't know everything, but I'd love to be able to hear, the ones that are mainstream. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I was listening to a story of from the Marshall Islands, and some of the people there, they say that there's like it's taboo topics to share them. So it's part of a cultural thing. To share those stories within their own circles. So it's like, maybe that's why. But also, it's intriguing. Like, it's intriguing to get this info.
Yeah. So let us know. Is it taboo? Is it, is it just lack of representation out there? Is it lack of translation? What is it? Let us know. We want to know more. Our listeners want to know more.
My favorite ghost was the Shakira ghost. It's creepy.
I knew she would be. Anyway, what are we going to talk about next week, Edwin?
I don't know. I think it'll be a surprise.
Bye, guys.
Bye.